Today we're going to talk about 3 ways to prevent dropping and negligent discharges of your everyday carry. Let's get into it. Number 1, don't do anything physically that's going to put you in a position where you can lose your gun. So dancing, for example, we're going to show you a video of an FBI agent who's off duty dancing. He loses his gun, but that is not the worst part of the video. Number 2, have a good holster that's made for your gun that has the proper retention for you and will keep your gun in place attached to your body where you want it to. Number 3, don't forget the fundamental rules of firearm safety. That's probably most important. So let's break these down, folks. This video I want to show you is from about 5 years ago. You've probably seen it on the internet. It's been circulating. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go check out the full video. Someone was recording. It was an outdoor event. There was music playing. There was dancing going on. This supposed FBI agent is off duty. He's dancing.
Now to that alarming video of an off-duty FBI agent whose gun went off, injuring one person while he was showing off his moves on the dance floor. ABC's Clayton Sandell has the story.
This morning, the FBI says it's reviewing this incident of an off-duty agent at a Denver nightclub dancing the night away until his gun gets away. Watch as the agent goes for a backflip, his handgun slips loose, falling to the floor and firing.
We heard a loud noise, 90% sure that it was a gunshot.
But when he picks it up, he accidentally fires a single shot into the crowd. You can see it again, the handgun flying through the air, and right there, a muzzle flash. From the agent, that quick smile and a hands up, the bullet striking a man in the leg.
He does a backflip and his gun falls out of the holster. Now obviously he had, this is my Glock 43, it's unloaded, the action is open, there's no round in the chamber, and I just wanted to use this for this type of holster here. You see this is a KYDEX holster. I'm guessing the video is not the best, that he had some type of a holster like this where the gun just fits in there with friction. There's no other way to secure it. It fits in there pretty good, and when this is on my person, it stays on my body securely. Now I don't typically do backflips, so it stays in place. I've never had this gun fall out of the holster on me while carrying it. It's in his back. It looks like it's in the small of his back. He does the backflip and it falls out onto the ground, right? So, but that's not the worst part of it. When he goes to actually retrieve the gun, that's when it goes off and you see the flash of the discharge and it actually hits someone in the crowd. Thankfully, the victim was just struck in the leg and it wasn't more serious or fatal. So just wanted to talk about this briefly, and I know it seems kind of silly, right, to talk about. You don't dance. Well, if you're going to dance, right, while wearing a gun, I would suggest you do something a little bit more low-key or slower paced, and I would definitely recommend not doing any backflips, right? We don't need to do any gymnastics while we're carrying our everyday carry, right? When it's secured to your body. No backflips required. But I just wanted to point this out, and I'm not bashing the FBI and I'm not bashing the agent. We're all human, right? We all make mistakes. There were several failures here, right? So number 1, he's carrying his gun, right? To me, you make the decision, I'm not going to do anything that's going to put me physically in a position where, you know, due to gravity, I might lose it. And it, again, also falls back on your holster, right? So if he had this type of holster, now this is outside the waistband, but you hear the click there, right? So it's a higher level of retention. To get the gun out, you need to push this button to pull the gun out. Now I've done a video on selecting an everyday carry. I'll put a link to that video for more information because I talk a little bit more detail about holsters in that video. But if he had a holster like this, when he did his backflip, I'm sure the gun wouldn't have went anywhere, right? Probably not, because you have to push this button to get the gun out, right? But not to bash him on his type of holster, because I am a big fan of these types of holsters. Now, this is a hidden hybrid holster. I'll put a link in the description to recommended products. This is definitely one of them. This is that type of holster where your retention is friction, really, and then when it's against your body, you have the pressure or the weight of your body. This is inside the waistband, right? I am a big fan of these types of holsters because I like to, by the way, this is a blue gun, training gun, not a real gun, for those of you that are wondering. I like to be able to just pull the gun out and be able to use it immediately. I don't like to deal with switches and levers, and I like to just be able to pull it out. Now, this type of holster might not be good for you, as far as you might want the holster that has that button to pull it out. You might want that extra level of retention. So the point is, depending on what type of a holster you have, right, how you're carrying, that should dictate whether you're going to do some fancy dance moves or whether you're going to ride a roller coaster, for example, right? We don't want to get on any rides that are going to make us go upside down, especially if there's a sign when you're standing in line that says put all loose objects, cell phones and keys and that sort of thing in this bin or a bin before you get on the ride. So that should give you a clue that if I can lose my cell phone, my keys, my change, anything else that's in my pockets, I can probably lose my gun when the ride goes upside down. So that's another thing you don't want to do. You don't want to go on any rides. So back to the FBI agent. He decides to dance. He's got this type of a holster, I'm guessing, right? So that should be his first clue not to engage in any movements like dancing or any physical activity that's going to possibly, that also includes fighting, right? Getting into a wrestling match or a fist fight, and that's a whole nother topic of weapon retention that as a concealed carry person, you should be thinking, I want to avoid physical confrontation. Especially something that was taught to me early on in the academy was every confrontation that you're in, there's at least one gun, right? The gun you're wearing. So you need to have that mentality as well. If I'm carrying for protection, right? There's always at least one gun if I get into any physical confrontation. My gun. Bad guy or the assailant or your opponent could also have a knife or a gun, but there's at least one, yours. So keep that in mind. So number one, he's got that type of holster. He decides to dance. Okay. He decides to dance a little, wildly, and he decides to do that backflip. So he's got, to me, he's got one, he's dancing, two, he does the backflip, and then strike three, he flips upside down, the gun falls out, but that is not the worst part. The worst part is when he picks the gun up because it looks like he doesn't follow the fundamental rules of firearm safety, which one of them is finger is off the trigger until you're lined up on target and you made the decision to shoot, right? So he picks the gun up, you see it discharge, it discharges into the crowd, it actually hits someone in the leg. If he just followed the firearm safety rules and he picked the gun up without his finger on the trigger or anywhere near the trigger, this wouldn't be a video we'd be watching, because even if someone videoed that, which they did, and they saw him drop his gun, if he picked it up and put it back in the holster, no harm, no foul, right? It wouldn't be a video, it wouldn't be on the news, it wouldn't be something that we'd be talking about. He might have gotten in trouble and reprimanded from his superiors, but if it got out, but nobody would have been shot, right? So somebody got shot from his gun because he was careless. Now, my guess is, I don't know what was going through his head, the FBI agent, but I'm guessing he realized when it happened, oh God, I dropped my gun, and he wanted to just get it back in the holster as soon as possible, and he was probably hoping that no one saw what he dropped. So he just, in his haste, he just inadvertently touched that trigger. And you saw what can happen when that finger goes near that trigger. So really, when you're out in public, the only reason your gun should be out of the holster is if obviously you need it for self-defense. The other reason would be is if you're unloading or loading, and we're going to do a video on how to do that safely. So you're minimizing the risk there. But if you follow the firearm safety rules and you're careful with loading, unloading, you shouldn't have any issues. I bring these topics up as a teachable moment to not do something similar. Now, I don't know if anybody watching is going to be doing any backflips anytime soon while dancing, but in all seriousness, folks, when you're carrying, you have to have a different mindset that, you know what, I can't go on this ride with my kid. I'm not sure if my gun's going to stay in the holster attached to my body, and I don't want to be in that position, or on the dance floor, or doing something else that you're just not sure about. So just keep that in mind, folks. If you like this video, please hit that like button and share it with anyone you think will benefit. Also, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when we release new content. And check out the description for recommended products, including holsters. Thanks for watching. Take care and stay safe.